Hello ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? It's your boy MegaLugia here, aka the Chosen One, and today my friends I bring you back the next episode, installment, series, episode, whatever you want to call it, of VGC Team Spotlight. What a good way to start the episode. But this is the series where we look at a team in depth, and when I say in depth, we go in depth. I'm talking about moves, EV spreads, teammates, damage calcs, games played, kills, deaths, as well as supported by all the in-game footage of the battle spot ladder there. I will be showing you as well while we go on in the video, as well as some pros and cons of the team as well, because of course no team is perfect. So if you guys like the sound of that, feel free to drop a like, subscribe if you're new, all that jazz. And I do want to say that this team is going to be based around Flygon and Tapu Fini. And having said that, I did build this team a good while ago as well. When I built this team, nobody and their mama was using Tapu Fini, but now everybody and their grandmama seems to be using Tapu Fini. So if you believe it or not, I used Tapu Fini before it was cool, so call me the VGC hipster. But with all that said, like I said, if you guys want to leave any suggestions in the comments down below, anything you want to see me cover next, any other improvements, anything like that, feel free to do so. But without further ado, let's jump into this episode of VGC Team Spotlight. So the first Pokemon on the team is going to be none other than Tapu Fini, the Pokemon that I really wanted to build around. As you can see, it has a moveset of Taunt, Moonblast, Protect, and either Surf or Muddy Water. We'll get more into that later. With an EV spread of max HP, 28 defense, 28 in speed, bold nature, holding the leftovers, and those stats that you see down there, games played, KO are kills, and deaths are DE. I'll go ahead and explain that in a little bit, but as you can see, Tapu Fini. So like I said, when I built this team, Tapu Fini wasn't being used, and I didn't understand why. Yes, it doesn't have the Psychic Surge ability with boost of Psychic moves like Tapu Fini, doesn't have the Grassy Terrain ability, not Tapu Fini, Tapu Lele, and the Grassy Surge ability that Tapu Bulu has and just makes Wood Hammer hit like a nuke, and it doesn't have the outright power that electric type moves gain from electric terrain like Tapu Koko. So what its ability does, if you're unaware, Misty Surge, makes it so that it cannot be status. No Pokemon on the field can be status, and dragon type moves damage are halved. Obviously it doesn't matter because you are immune to the dragon type moves, but it does support the rest of the team. So I really wanted to use Tapu Fini because in my opinion it stopped a lot of the meta that was going around. I'm talking about Arcanine, I'm talking about Garchomp, I am talking about Tapu Lele to an extent. You definitely can take some hits. Marowak, kind of, you can take some of its hits since you are physically defensive, and just a lot of hits in general. And as well as you see the move Taunt. Now this is what I really wanted to use Tapu Fini for. Not only was it bulky, but it had Taunt, and I wanted to stop down Pokemon like Celesteela and Porygon. Outspeed them, go for the Taunt. Porygon can't Trick Room, Taunt the Celesteela, can't go for Substitute or Leech Seed, which they really do tend to do, and Taunt is just a really nice move to have, as well as being able to stop Pokemon like Gyarados and Araquanid, which I did not mention. As for the EV spread, pretty much just want to be as bulky as possible, and 28 speed just to outspeed things that are trying to speed creep you, like a lot of invested Magnezone or Celesteela. Magnezones don't usually go max speed, they usually go a little bit of speed, or they go max speed to be as bulky as possible. So that 28 speed just allows you to have that safe point to be able to outspeed a lot of things. As for these stats that you see right there, so it did come to 25 games. It came to almost every single game that I played with this team. I believe I played around 28 games, and it came to 25 of them because it is just such a good Pokemon. It actually got 14 kills, surprisingly. This thing actually does pack a punch, whether you like to believe it or not. 85 base special attack, I believe, but Moonblast just hitting a lot of things really hard. And then 10 deaths, didn't die. It barely died. It just stuck around on the field for so long, single-handedly winning me some games because it is just so goddamn bulky, especially in combination with the leftovers recovery. Unfortunately, it doesn't get recover or anything like that. But as for the next move, Moonblast, like I said, just fairy type stab, and then you see Surf or Muddy Water. So I would say for around of the first 18 or 19 games, I did have Surf, but excuse me, the reason why I switched up Surf is I didn't have Scald, by the way, if you're wondering why you don't have Scald. One of the best moves in the game. It's because you can't burn things with the Misty Terrain up, so I felt like Scald, wasn't that good. Only 80 base power. Surf has a higher base power, but the reason why I got rid of Surf is because it hits your Pokemon on this side of the field, and that's not a nice thing to have. So I went with Muddy Water. It doesn't have the best accuracy, 85% accuracy, but it does have that 30% chance to lower your opponent's accuracy, and it does not hit your mons on the side of the field. So a little bit give and take, but I felt like Muddy Water was a little bit better, and it came in clutch. I say clutch very, very much for me. So Tapu Fini, just such a great Pokemon, and I love having it around, being able to you know, take a lot of moves from Pokemon like Garchomp, Arcanine, Gyarados, Marowak, Celesteela, Araquanid, as well as Moonblast and Freeze Ice from Alolan Ninetales. Just basically, Tapu Fini just does not die. So that is the first Pokemon of the team. I hope that makes it clear for you guys on why I chose it. And the next Pokemon on the team, the second core you could say, is my boy Flygon, with an Adamant Nature, 36 HP, max attack, 220 speed, holding the Choice Scarf with the moves of U-Turn, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, and Fire Blast. Flygon. Where do I begin with this Pokemon? I want to say Flygon is a very underrated Pokemon in this meta. You may be saying, why? Go for Garchomp. It's faster, it hits harder. But let me explain to you why. Maybe two key reasonings. One, Levitate. Getting rid of that ground type moves, that ground immunity is so nice to have. And two, U-Turn. U-Turn is such a great move for momentum, as well as I just like Flygon. Well, just, you know, hate me for it, but it does serve very well in combination with Tapu Fini, because one, Tapu Fini is weak to the electric, you are immune, as well as being weak to grass, and you are neutral, as well as Pokemon like Garchomp holding the dragon type attacks, as well as the poison type attacks for Tapu Fini. It does have to choose what it wants to go for, because Dragon Claw from a Flygon is going to hurt the Garchomp back really bad, or a Moonblast is going to hit really hard from the Tapu Fini. So it has to choose what it wants to go for. Cannot go for the Earthquake because one, Flygon is immune, and cannot go for the Poison Jet because then Flygon will be able to hit it back really hard. The move for the EV spread, excuse me, you do have 220 speed with an Adamant Nature. You may be saying, why are you not going to go Jolly? Well, one, you're not going to outspeed Choice Scarf Garchomp, as it is, and Adamant just picks up so many KOs that Jolly doesn't. And the 220 speed is to be able to outspeed a max speed Modest Scarf Tapu Lele, because even if you're Jolly and even if you're Adamant max speed, you're not going to outspeed a Scarf Tapu Lele. So that's why I went with 220 speed. As for the stats that you see right there, 15 games played, 17 kills, and 18 deaths. Now, Flygon was a very hit and miss Pokemon in certain matches. What I mean by that is, when it came, it either killed a lot of the opponent's team, or it did nothing and died, which is why you can see it has a lot of kills and a lot of deaths in just 15 games played. So it's very, very hit and miss, but in my opinion, it's very good, as well as holding the Choice Scarf. I don't know why, maybe it was the opponents I came up against, but people did not expect Flygon to be Choice Scarf. Maybe they expected a Z move or Lumberry Dragon Dance, but for me, Choice Scarf was just very nice. U-Turn doing a 2-hit KO against standard Tapu Lele's, Earthquake being a sometimes it is actually a guaranteed KO, even with a spread move. When you're in versus a Raichu and a Tapu Koko, which a lot of people like to lead to get that electric terrain boost for the Raichu, you OHKO both through Earthquake, and it is very, very nice. Dragon Claw just to hit, Dragon Stab hit Pokemon like Garchomp. It is unfortunately a 2-hit KO when paired with Tapu Fini because of the Misty Surge, which reduces the damage of Dragon type moves, and Fire Blast. Even though you are reducing your special attack, you do OHKO Kartana, and you do 2-hit KO Magnezone as well as Celesteela. So that's why I went for Fire Blast. You could go for Flamethrower if you want the accuracy, but you do really miss out on a lot of damage with the Flamethrower over the Fire Blast. So in my opinion, Flygon is just such a good Pokemon to have right now. Like I said, very, very clutch, being immune to the ground type moves, being immune to the electric type moves. You already have 2 immunities and another immunity from Dragon with Tapu Fini, so it's looking pretty good, your core right now. And Flygon just, I love Flygon, just such a good Pokemon in the meta right now. And moving on to the next Pokemon, we have a Pokemon that you're going to see on a lot of VGC teams that I had to introduce it into mine. I'm talking about Alolan Marowak with the spread of max HP, max attack, 12 speed, and an Adamant Nature, holding with the Thick Club, Lightning Rod with the moves of Shadow Bone, Flare Blitz, Bone Riding, and Protect. So pretty much standard stuff for Alolan Marowak here. Other than maybe the EV spread, a lot of people like to go with a Brave Nature to reduce their speed, but I felt like you are slow enough to take advantage of Trick Room, even though you have 12 speed, and you're still able to outspeed certain things that want to go minus speed nature. I'm talking about Araquanid, Porygon, and stuff like that. So that is the Alolan Marowak. It came to 15 games, got 10 kills and 12 deaths. Alolan Marowak is kind of like a very good utility Pokemon, and what I mean by that is, as you can see, our team synergy wise is rounding up pretty good. Alolan Marowak is weak to ground and water. Tapu Fini patches up the water weakness, as well as Flygon being immune to the ground type moves. Tapu Fini is weak to electric and grass. Alolan Marowak immune to electricity, resists the grass, as well as the Flygon combination with there. Flygon is weak to ice and fairy, and Alolan Marowak resists that. So as you can see, the synergy is really good, and just being max HP, max attack makes you really bulky, as well as a really hard hitter. Being able to handle a lot of Pokemon, like even through the Intimidate, I believe Bonerang does OHKO a offensive or even slightly defensive Arcanine. Flare Blitz for there for Pokemon like Kartana. Shadowmon for Mimikyu, a Bonerang for Alolan Muk, which does get OHKO, just a really good clutch Pokemon. Not the fastest. If it was super fast, it would be good, but like I said, you are able to take advantage of Trick Room, even though you're not min speed, and you are bulky enough to live hits outside of Trick Room. Not much to say outside of there for Alolan Marowak. Like I said, it is a very standard mon in the meta right now, and having 10 KOs and 12 deaths, not too bad, especially since I said it is a utility Pokemon and not a sweeper, should I say that. So that is Alolan Marowak. I don't really know what else to say. Just a really good Pokemon to have on your team, giving you key immunities, and just it's a good Pokemon to have. Moving on to the next Pokemon, we have another immunity in the Psychic type immunity, coming from none other than Alolan Muk, with the adamant nature of a pretty complicated EV spread. Max HP, 44 attack, 108 defense, 100 special defense, and 4 in speed, which I couldn't fit onto the layout. Excuse me, I apologize. With the Gluttony ability holding the Figgy Berry. The moves are Gunk Shot, Knock Off, Shadow Sneak, and Protect. And I do want to say Alolan Muk as well as Flygon probably are the MVPs of this team. Alolan Muk is just such a good Pokemon to have. As for the EV spread and what it does and what you can live, I don't remember the exact damage calcs. It was taken off Wolfie Glick's spread when he gave a competitive guide for Alolan Muk. If you don't know who Wolfie Glick is, he is the Pokemon VGC World Champ, so he knows what he's talking about. I will probably leave a damage calc in the description down below so you guys can see what I'm talking about and exactly what you can live and what you cannot, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But having said that, you can live a shit ton of things. I'm talking about Thunderbolts, Dazzling Gleams from Tapu Koko. I'm talking about Moonblast from Tapu Fini, Tapu Lele. I'm talking about Earthquakes from Garchomp, Bonerangs from Alolan Marowak, Flare Blitzes from Arcanine. Just Moonblast and Blizzards for days from Alolan Ninetales. Muk is just such a good Pokemon to have. And as for the moves, you do see Gunk Shot there, probably the thing that stands out the most. Shadow Sneak just being there for priority, Knock Off just there to get stab and get rid of items, and Protect because Protect is obviously in VGC. But Gunk Shot over Poison Jab. A lot of people like to go with Poison Jab, and for good reason, right? It does do some good damage as well as having 100% accuracy. But for me, your boy likes to live on the frisky side. I go with Gunk Shot because it picks up so much damage, and fortunately for me, I do want to say fortunately, I did not miss too many Gunk Shots. You know, Pokemon is a game of RNG, that's the game that we play, and Gunk Shot just picks up so many KOs that Poison Jab doesn't. For example, it does guarantee a 2-hit KO, not a 2-hit KO, excuse me, I can't remember right now. I believe it does 2-hit KO Arcanine without the Intimidate drop, and you do a lot of damage to Pokemon like Hariyama, which is really bulky and likes to switch in on Alolan Muk, as well as Porygon, as well as Tapu Fini. I believe you can OHKO Tapu Fini if it is running just a little bit of defense, and just it's such a good move to have. Like I said, I did find myself not missing it, but if I did, maybe I would have switched over to Poison Jab. It is up to you if you want to go Poison Jab over Gunk Shot, but that's just that raw power of Gunk Shot just seems to be doing it for me. As for the ability Gluttony and Figgy Berry, if you're not aware, Gluttony makes it so that you eat berries quicker than you would if you didn't have it. For example, Figgy Berry only activates when you're below 25% or less, but Gluttony makes it so that you achieve that at 50%. So once you drop below 50% health, you heal all that back up with the Figgy Berry. It is just and that's why Alolan Muk just sticks around for so long. Because for example, if Alolan Ninetales goes for, I believe, 2 Moonblasts, maybe even 3, that brings you down below 50%. Then you go all the way back up to 50, and it is OHKO'd with a Gunk Shot. Whether you missed the first one, you are good to go. So that's why Figgy Berry is just such a nice move to have, as well as being able to live Earthquake from Garchomp, going down below the 50% range, going back up to full, and going for a knockoff Gunk Shot combination. Just Alolan Muk, just such a good Pokemon to have, as well as being immune to the Psychic type attacks from Tapu Lele. I feel like it's really good to have this Pokemon on your team. As you can see, it came to 19 games played, so it did come to quite a few games. 12 kills, not too bad. 10 deaths, not too bad either. A good KD ratio. talk about Call of Duty here, but it wasn't like this mon needed to pick up the most kills. It just needed to be able to stick around on the field long enough to be able to redirect attacks to it because people saw it as a threat and allow the other Pokemon to pick up kills. You know, it just needed to stay around on the field, and it does definitely with the Figgy Berry and EV spread combination. So that is Alolan Muk. I hate your design, but I love you in VGC. And coming on to the next member, we have Tapu Koko, KFC as I like to call it, with an interesting EV spread. Yes, max attack, max speed, adamant nature, holding the life orb with the moves Wild Charge, Dazzling Gleam, U-turn, and Protect. So you may be wondering, wow, what am I looking at? This guy does not know what he's talking about in VGC, a physical Tapu Koko. Well, let me explain. Tapu Koko does have higher physical attack at 115, and I know, you know, Wild Charge does give you recoil, and a lot of people like to use special, especially because you have Thunderbolt, you have Volt Switch, you have Discharge, you have stuff like that. You have Grass Knot as well. But I really wanted to go with physical because it does really pick up KOs that special Tapu Koko does not, because it catches your opponent off guard. A lot of people like to switch in their Porygon, their Muk, they're especially defensive Pokemon who know they can take a hit from Tapu Koko because it isn't only 95 base special attack. But once you ramp that up to 115, combination with Wild Charge, you are OHKOing, doing a shit ton of damage to a lot of Pokemon, as well as Alolan Ninetales. Alolan Ninetales does have good special defense and can take those Thunderbolts, but Wild Charge, I believe OHKOs an offensive Alolan Ninetales. It's just so hard hitting and people really do not expect it. As well as with the Adamant Nature reducing your special attack, Dazzling Gleam still is a 2-hit KO on Garchomp, so that is something to mention. Now, I do have U-turn there over moves like Grass Knot or Volt Switch. You can choose to go for Grass Knot if you want to be able to handle Pokemon like Gastrodon, who otherwise really eats up hits from this set, but I feel like the rest of the team does support taking down the Gastrodon as well as the next Pokemon you will be seeing. And U-turn is just really nice there to gain momentum, especially because, say, you have the Tapu Koko out. They're going to want to switch in maybe their Alolan Marowak or their ground type to be able to eat up the hit and gain some momentum. You predict that, especially if you see that on your opponent's team. Go for the U-turn, gain some momentum, get out of there, and you're not locked in. I mean, you're not trapped in because, you know, they didn't, your attacks weren't immune to them, if that's making sense. So that's why you have the U-turn, as well as dealing good damage to Pokemon like Tapu Lele, super effective damage versus Pokemon like, you know what, I can't remember the Pokemon off the top of my head, I do apologize, but that is pretty much the spread right there. I just really like physical Tapu Koko, as well as going adamant. I feel like I believe the only speed ties that you miss out on are with other, for example, speed invested or speed boosting, I should say. Tapu Koko is like timid, but I don't know, you can go to choose to go jolly instead of adamant, but adamant just so much power, and that's something you can see with this team right here. I'm just going for power. I'm going for power and bulk in some cases, but it works out really well. And moving on to the last member, you see Decidueye with an EV spread. As you can see, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like spend too much time working out the EV spread in terms of calcs. I just put max special attack, 4 special defense, and 220. Oh, that should be wrong. The rest goes into HP. Excuse me, and 212 in speed. The speed, I believe, is to outspeed Pokemon that are trying to outspeed a Decidueye, like, or excuse me, no. See, like I said, I don't know my calcs for Decidueye, but I believe it's to outspeed Pokemon like Tapu Fini, who is at base 85 speed. The moveset is Nasty Plot, Shadow Ball, Energy Ball, or Giga Drain, and Protect, and holding the Ghost DMZ with a modest nature. So Decidueye, like I said, filled out a lot of the blanks like my team was missing. I do have another fighting immunity because of the ghost typing, as well as being a grass typing for me was really nice because when Flygon is locked into Earthquake, as it is, because it is Choice Scarf, I don't have a lot of Pokemon that can switch into that on my team. Tapu Fini can take the hits, Alolan Marowak is weak to ground, Muk is weak to ground, as well as Tapu Koko being weak to ground, and I have to go for protects and predictions and 50-50s, and it just wasn't worth it in my opinion. So I brought in the Decidueye, who does take around, I believe, 20% from a Flygon's Earthquake since you do resist it, so it's very nice to have Flygon in with Decidueye at the same time, as well as Decidueye being able to nasty plot in a lot of things faces. I'm talking about Porygon, I'm talking about Gyarados. Go for the Shadow Ball and you can OHKO Pokemon like Tapu Lele with the you don't even need the Ghost CMZ, but the Ghost CMZ is really nice to OHKO Pokemon like Arcanine when you're a +2 with the Ghost CMZ, Shadow Ball, Never Ending Nightmare. It's just a really good thing to have. I know we're special rather than physical, I should say, and a lot of people like to use Spirit Shackle on their Decidueye, but Intimidate is very common. Gyarados, Arcanine, Salamence, which is why I went with Special, and for me, it's just a little bit better. You can see the next move with either Energy Ball or Giga Drain. You can choose to go for Energy Ball if you want that outright power. Giga Drain is there if you want some recovery, but for me, I went for an Energy Ball because that damage output was just too good, and I'm not trying to keep this thing around on the field for too long. As you see, it did come to 10 games, and in those 10 games, in the short time that it did, 10 KOs and only 4 deaths. So Decidueye looking like a pretty good MVP on the team so far. So that is why I brought it in instead of Scizor. Hopefully the reasoning makes sense, as well as in combination with Tapu Fini when you're both in at the same time. If your Pokemon has an Arcanine on the opposing side of the field, they cannot go for Will-O-Wisp or Thunder Wave from their Porygon onto your Decidueye, and then you can just, because of the Misty Surge should I say, and then you can just put in the work from there. So that is Decidueye, the last member on the team. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, a team spotlight / breakdown of the Tapu Fini Flygon team. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Make sure to let me know. Let me know if you guys actually try this team out, and if you have any luck. Are there any improvements you guys want to see me do? Like I said, it is a pretty good team. I will be probably switching it up because I do have another team in mind that I do kind of like using. But until next time, feel free to drop a like, subscribe if you're new. It has been your boy MegaLugia here checking out. Peace.